G'day guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Aussie Investing Machine. Thanks for joining me in this episode. Today we're going to have a look at Aussie Broadband, a company that has recently listed on the ASX. Aussie Broadband has already made quite a big market impact since it was listed earlier this week. Those who invested in the IPO have already seen some big gains, but will these gains continue going forward? We'll take a quick look at the company and see if these profits are sustainable. As always guys, this video is for educational purposes only. Before making any investment decisions, please go and see a licensed financial advisor. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe to stay up to date with the latest market news and insights into all different kinds of companies on the ASX. And while you're here, make sure to hit the like button and leave a comment below if you've got any questions about the video whatsoever. Okay, so let's talk about Aussie Broadband. Aussie Broadband was planning to list on the ASX this year, and they've actually brought forward that IPO date, and it was earlier this week. Aussie Broadband described themselves as a challenger internet provider. Aussie Broadband has a reputation for being a high quality internet provider with transparent customer service. Their customer service team is based 100% in Australia. Their customer service team is one of their leading qualities, and it's achieved them some really highly regarded reviews across all different platforms. Generally, the customer feedback for Aussie Broadband is very high, and this is due in part to having that customer service team based in Australia. The company has grown to be the 5th largest provider of NBN services in Australia. For those of you who don't know, the NBN is Australia's largest internet network, which has been rolled out over the past 10 years. The NBN is the wholesaler of the internet infrastructure, and then there's different providers which sell the internet product to customers. Some of these providers include Telstra, Optus, TPG, and obviously Aussie Broadband. Aussie Broadband claims that they have over 300,000 residential and business customers connected to the NBN network. So this all sounds good so far. Let's take a little bit of a deep dive into their financials. Having just become a public company, we have access to the last 3 years of financial results for Aussie Broadband. I've had a look into these and the results are actually quite surprising. The past 3 years of results have all been losses. They haven't made any money in the last 3 years. On top of this, the losses are actually compounding. They lost $1 million in 2018, $5 million in 2019, and $12 million in 2020. On the flip side of this, their revenue has been doubling every year, which is awesome growth. It's currently sitting at $190 million of revenue for the FY20 financial year. So yes, their losses are compounding, but the business is clearly expanding as well. So we could expect there to be losses, but it's important to see that they do eventually become profitable. This is certainly something to monitor in the next quarter's results to see if their profitability is improving at all. The other interesting thing to note from their financial results is their percentage of business customers, which is sitting at the moment at 12%. Now, if we compare Aussie Broadband to another big listed telco, such as TPG, we can see that TPG's business customers are sitting at around 30% of their total revenue. TPG is also a profitable company, so potentially this larger number of business customers could be the reason for TPG's success compared to Aussie Broadband. It is difficult to tell at this point if Aussie Broadband will need to increase their business customers because of the fact they're still growing and spending money on business expansion. Time will tell, but it's interesting to see that one of their competitors, TPG, has almost double the number of business customers as a percentage of their overall customer base. Now, it's also interesting to look at TPG's annual report. In the annual report, TPG talks about the NBN and how the percentage of their customers using the NBN is growing quite rapidly compared to their other internet services. The NBN is, as we know, replacing old and outdated ADSL2 infrastructure. But because NBN owns and manages this infrastructure, providers like Aussie Broadband and TPG don't actually own the assets. Because of this, TPG states in their annual report that the NBN services have a high wholesale cost and a low profit margin potential. This is obviously compared to TPG's ADSL2 network, which used to be their primary source of revenue. It's clear that the NBN is not as profitable for TPG. The other thing to note about TPG is that not only do they have infrastructure within Australia, they have submarine PPC-1 internet cables running all the way to Guam. This is significant because TPG can charge a fee for other telcos to use their international infrastructure to get internet in and out of Australia. As far as I can tell, Aussie Broadband doesn't have any infrastructure of their own. I could be wrong, let me know in the comments, but as far as I know, Aussie Broadband are only an NBN provider. This is how they make up the bulk of their revenue. So what I can see here is that you've got TPG on one hand who is complaining about the low profit margins that they're getting from the NBN, and Aussie Broadband who only exclusively deals with NBN broadband. I have seen on Aussie Broadband's website that they do offer mobile internet options. However, I'd be fairly certain that Aussie Broadband are using other internet providers' mobile networks in order to deliver this service. So at the end of the day, it comes down to the question, what is Aussie Broadband doing to differentiate themselves from the large number of other internet providers that exist in the Australian market? If they want to charge a premium for their service, which they do when compared to other internet providers, they must be able to justify this going forward if they do want a chance of becoming profitable. I think, as we mentioned at the start of the video, the key point of difference for Aussie Broadband is their customer service. They also have quite high advertised internet speeds. This is something I'm looking into a little bit more. As you may or may not know, the NBN plans that are available come in a range of speed tiers. Now, not every speed tier is the same from provider to provider. All providers must advertise their typical evening speeds as opposed to the blanket NBN speed tiers. This is to give an accurate representation of the speeds you can actually expect from the product. Now, here's the thing I'm not sure about. If all these providers are using the same infrastructure, how and why are there differences between the typical evening speeds? We know that Aussie Broadband has one of the top internet speeds for all the NBN plans. How are they achieving this? Now, I'm not sure why there are differences in speeds between providers, and I wasn't able to find any clear information online and even on NBN Co's official website. So what I've done is that I've reached out to a few people I think might have the answer. So I'll find out and get back to you. What we do know, however, is Aussie Broadband does have one of the best speeds. So this, along with their customer service, is certainly their selling point at the moment. What I would like to find out before making an investment in Aussie Broadband is how they've achieved their high speeds relative to competitors, and what are the chances of continuing to provide one of the highest quality internet speeds going forward into the future. If Aussie Broadband does have the formula set for achieving these high speeds and they can consistently outperform other providers, then yes, I do think this is a significant value add to the business. We know that consumers are enjoying their customer service due to the overwhelming support and positive reviews that exist on the internet about the company. So the next question is, if they do have these two things working in tandem and consistently over the next few years, will they become profitable and will you make huge gains if you invest in the company? Well, unfortunately, the only way to find this out is to watch and wait. We'd certainly first like to see a reversal in the trend of their net income after tax. They can't be losing more money year on year like they have been. The second thing that will be important to monitor is their net debt levels and also the amount of capital raising that they continue to do going forward. I think this is one to keep an eye on. I certainly personally won't be jumping into this company just yet. I think it's just not clear in my mind that they will be a strong competitor in the broadband internet space going forward, but we will soon see. If Aussie Broadband can continue to provide super high quality internet, maintain their Australian customer support, then yes, there is a potential they could be a leading internet provider going into the future. Whether or not this type of enterprise will be profitable for shareholders is yet to be seen, and only time will tell. Personally, I'd like to wait to see their financial statements improve before considering an investment in this company. I'd love to know what you think though, so leave a comment down below. I'd like to hear your thoughts on Aussie Broadband. maybe you've already bought in and enjoyed some of the good profits we've seen so far. Let me know in the comments. Well, just a short one from me this week, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and until next time, catch you guys later. Cheers.